Hello, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel, and it is the Austin A40 van, Pickup and Countryman that is the subject of today's classic brochure reviews. If you go back through the previous videos already on this channel, you'll see I did a brochure review for the Austin A40 Devon and Dorset saloons, and these, the A40 commercials, were based on the Austin Devon of the era. The commercial versions of the Austin A40, the van, Pickup and the Countryman, were actually produced long after the Devon saloon was replaced by the Somerset saloon. There wasn't a commercial variant produced by BMC of the Somerset. They just continued with the A40 Devon style light commercial. So I've got two brochures here. One is a slightly earlier copy, just looking at the Austin A40 Pickup. This is nothing to do with the A40 Farinas, this predates the Farinas. So I've got this one on the Pickup, and this one here looks at all the light commercial versions, the vans, the pickups and the Countryman, which is basically a van with seats and windows. So to begin with, let's have a look at this brochure here. Now this brochure is just for the A40 Pickup, for every light transport task. This was a steel cabbed, steel fronted pickup truck. The rear was panelled in aluminium, as I recall. I did have a couple of these at one time, and they are lovely, lovely little vehicles. So if we go over here, we can have a quick look and see what we have. There's a side-on view showing the separate rear pickup body and the cab. If you look closely at the front, you'll see this particular brochure is for the early version with the Mazak chrome-plated metal grille. Later versions, as we'll see in the other brochure, had a painted grille. So let's see what Austin BMC had to say about the A40 Pickup. All over the world, farmers and market gardeners, owners of large estates, builders and decorators, merchants and traders of every kind will welcome the introduction of the Austin A40 Pickup, a light open truck on the now famous A40 chassis. This multi-purpose vehicle combines the good manners, performance and driving comfort of a willing, responsive car with the down-to-earth utility and dependability demanded by the commercial user whose livelihood depends on transport. The engine of the A40 Pickup is a lively valve-in head unit, which was 1200cc, and it predated the B-Series engine. It wasn't a B-Series engine in this country at least, but it did become the B-Series later on. It gives brisk acceleration and is so flexible in operation that high gear can be maintained at surprisingly low speeds. The gearing on the commercials was much lower than on the car versions. I certainly remember that. Where are we? Independent coil springs form the front suspension of this truck, with a semi-elliptic springing at the rear, and hydraulic shock absorbers all round to give riding smoothness unequalled in a vehicle of this class. Uneven fields and rutted tracks cause little trouble, and live or fragile loads can be carried with complete confidence. In fact, a great variety of loads up to half-a-ton limit can be transported over long or short distances with complete ease. The A40 Pickup is, in short, a sturdy and willing vehicle ready for 101 jobs. So there we go. So it's very similar. If you were just to look at the front of the vehicle, it reminds you very much of the A40 Devon, although there were differences. The A40 Devon saloon had 16-inch front road wheels and tyres, and less of a cutout on the front wings. The commercial versions, the van and the Pickup, they had 17-inch wheels, and as such the opening of the wheel arches is slightly larger. So if you're restoring a Pickup and you need to buy some front wings for it, make sure you buy commercial front wings if you still plan to use the 17-inch heavier duty wheels that the commercial versions were fitted with. So let's go over here. So I used to run an A40 Devon car, a 1949 car, for quite a while. I had two Pickups, a 1951 and a 1953. Here we've got an under bonnet photograph of the 1200cc overhead valve engine. It was all quite easy to get at, but it was very easy to bang your head. The bonnet was rear hinged and you could easily clout your head on the bottom of the bonnet. I remember that well. There are many fine features in the construction of the A40 Pickup which will appeal to the discerning user, as demonstrating the complete adequacy of this vehicle to undertake a variety of light transport tasks. And it mentions the 40 brake horsepower at 4,300 RPM, independent front suspension, Girling hydromechanical braking system with 2 leading shoe brakes on the front wheels. And a quick interior view here, instrumentation in front of the driver, and this was a floor change. Later vans and pickups went to a column change, as we'll see in the second brochure. And there we have the tailgate down. Really useful little vehicle, quite hard to find now. And there's the specification. I'll zoom in on that a bit closer so you can get all the details of the electrical and instrumentation, body design, transmission and so on. So that was for the A40 Pickup circa 1949-1950, while it still had the floor gear change. And next we will have a look at the full range brochure from a couple of years later. And interestingly, this is an American issue, even though it's printed in England. This is for the Austin Motor Company Limited of England, West 57th Street, New York, USA. So this was clearly an export brochure. So how it came to be in this country, I have no idea. And next we have the Austin A40 Lite Commercials brochure. Now this brochure is a couple of years later than this particular one. In the earlier brochure, the pickup shown has the Mazak chrome-plated grille, but by this point in time they had switched to a painted grille, still with the larger diameter wheels of the commercial version, but painted with stainless steel strips attached to it. I guess it just modernised things a little bit. And also the rear wheel arches are now integral. On the early vans and pickups they had removable spats like this, which you had to take off in order to change the rear wheel. But by the sort of the early mid-1950s, like I say, these were produced alongside the Somerset, which replaced the Devon saloon. So these continued in production long after the Devon car went out of production. But by this point in time, mid-50s, they'd gone with these integral wheel arches just to modernise the design a bit. So this is a full colour brochure, whereas this one wasn't. This one is full colour, and there's probably 1954, 1955, something like that. And we've got examples of the Countryman, the van and the pickup on the cover. So let's have a look inside of here and see what delights we can find in here. So we've got an illustration here of A40s at work. You can see there's the Countryman, which is basically a van with rear seats, folding seats, sliding windows, fixed window and a roof vent. Those were the main differences. So let's see what Austin had to say about their A40 by the sort of early mid-1950s. Wanted a dependable carrier for every business, must give speedy and economical service and be prepared to work hard at all hours in any climate. An established reputation for this type of work is essential. Here is a typical situation for which the Austin range of A40 light commercials has been specially designed. The enclosed load space of the van, the convertible interior of the Countryman and the open truck body of the pickup qualify these sturdy vehicles for a vast variety of light transport duties to suit every type of trade. Indeed, A40 commercials are being successfully operated in most countries of the world where traders are investing in Austin and profiting by their economical overhead valve power and long-lasting service. For when dependable transport is wanted, Austin is the natural choice. And again, the UK market vehicles, they all came with a 1200cc pre-B series 4-cylinder engine, which conveniently we have shown on this next page. Still a separate chassis, hydraulic brakes front and rear by this time, and column gear shift, whereas in the earlier brochure, if I can find it, we had a floor change, but it went to column shift, similar style to the Somerset saloon of the same era. Details of the chassis. The Austin A40 light commercials are based on the same robust chassis with its deep box section frame, rigid cross bracing and dependable finely finished components. The whole unit is entirely separate from the bodywork and is of common sense design to give straightforward maintenance and long years of distinguished service. We go over here, we've got some more cutaway drawing of that overhead valve 4-cylinder engine. Used in the van, the Countryman and the pickup models, all the same engine, no differences. This engine was also used in the A40 Sports, although it had a twin carburettor setup on the A40 Sports, but the commercial versions never received that luxury. Hydraulic braking, There was a lot of evolution of the design, even though early A40 vans and pickups look very similar to late A40 vans and pickups. I know very well that there were a lot of detailed little changes. For example, there were numerous changes just in the brake shoes. I remember losing a brake shoe and it took me a long time to find another one. They varied in widths and the number of rivet holes and all sorts of funny little differences that BMC seemed to quite enjoy for some reason. And over here we have the Austin A40 van, again showing its painted grille and by this point integral fixed rear wheel arches and the vent in the roof. All very smart. Let's see what we have to say. Advertising the goods as it delivers them, the Austin A40 van is a valuable asset to firms with loads up to half a ton to carry. Its dependability is a byword among tradesmen, while its outstanding performance and operating economy are creating an ever-increasing demand for its services in all parts of the world. And the eagle-eyed will note that the dashboard has changed as well. The early A40 Lite commercials, again, let's just see if I can find this. We have a small instrument cluster, very similar to the A40 Devon car, which I used to have, and a group of switches in the middle. But by the mid-50s it had been replaced with this centrally mounted, much simpler dashboard arrangement, and of course the column shift and a different steering wheel. This is the same as in the saloon, and this is very much more Somerset oriented. So the column shift and the indicator switch for the trafficators in the middle of the steering column there. So lots of little detail changes as the A40 went through production. Photo of the inside there with its fairly spacious load bay. We shall carry on. Now, instead of the van, we have the A40 Countryman with its split rear doors, two rear doors. There's a spare wheel access panel there, and you can see that proper windows have been let in. Sometimes people would make their own Countryman by buying a van and cutting windows in the side, but a proper Countryman has the proper set-in windows, the forward ones of which are sliding, and the seats in the rear can be folded into the floor to give van-like cargo carrying capacity. Adaptability is the key that is opening many doors for the A40 Countryman in numerous markets overseas. For here, incorporated within the one all-steel body, is a six-seater with generous space for luggage or a half-ton load carrier with comfortable accommodation for driver and mate. The conversion can be simply accomplished within the short space of a minute. The Austin A40 Countryman with a robust all-steel body. I think the earlier ones did have some aluminium in the van body, if I recall correctly. But not only is the adaptability of the Countryman confined to its quick change interior, for it will travel with unruffled smoothness over any type of road surface, whether it be an arterial highway or the toughest track in a lonely up-country estate. And here we have an illustration of the seats in their various different positions and folded straight flat into the floor, giving quite a good load bay and area. And the roof height was quite tall as well on the A40, as I seem to remember. Then we have the pickup version, again, which was an updated version of the vehicle shown in this earlier brochure, still with the large wheel openings. Now here it still has the removable rear wheel spats. There were three versions. The early A40s are like this one, that has the removable aluminium rear spats with just a tiny little hump there, which just reveals the centre of the hubcap. And then that was replaced by this version, which still has the removable rear wheel spats, the mud guards, but the opening, the aperture, has been opened up slightly by this point. And the very final A40 pickups would be like the vans and just have an integral wheel arch. So it did change throughout production, subtly, but there were changes. Transport troubles are left behind when the Austin A40 pickup carries the load. It is a willing and dependable light open truck whose versatility is unlimited where loads up to half a ton are concerned. It is exceptionally manoeuvrable in the most confined spaces and has ample power to spare for really heavy going. As with the other models in the A40 Lite commercial range, comfort and safety are important features of the all-steel pickup cab. Draft-free ventilation is provided by friction-controlled louvers fitted to the toughened glass door windows, and, for cold weather, there is provision for interior heating with windscreen defrosting. The full-width single-piece front seat is trimmed in durable leather cloth. And again, we've got an underbonnet illustration of the A40 engine bay and the rear load area of the pickup. Let's see what we have over here. Let me just have a bit of a summary about the common features of all the commercial versions. The half-ton pickup truck, suitable for carrying a great variety of loads, very similar to what it said before. Got mention of the chassis. In addition to the van, Countryman and pickup models in the normal production range of A40 Lite commercials, chassis cab and chassis scuttle units are also available. These are ideal for those who wish to combine Austin dependability with a body built to a particular style and specification. So I've seen sort of gown vans and ice cream vans made based on the Austin A40, and I'm sure there are many others. Got a bit more information about the half-ton delivery van and the Countryman, which I think was a particularly useful vehicle. And finally, over the page we have the good old specification page for the 3 different variants covered in this brochure. So if you want to have a look at anything in particular there, I'll zoom in and you can pause the video depending what you want to learn about, whether it's the engine, the clutch, transmission, axle, suspension, frame, the electrics, or whatever. Let me just have a final bit of information about the Austin Motor Company in general, to do with prices and specifications. And there's no sign of a date on here, but it must be about 1954, 53, 54, somewhere around about there. And on the rear cover we have the good old BMC rosette. So those 2 brochures featured the Austin A40 light commercial range of the late 40s and early to mid 1950s. I hope that was of interest. Like I say, there's already a video uploaded on the Austin A40 Devon and Dorset brochure, so please go and have a look at that as well, and also brochures on other light commercials, vans, pickups, estates and so on, from other manufacturers like Austin and Ford and so on. So I hope that was of interest. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this and general classic car content that I'm uploading to YouTube most weeks. Hope that was of interest. All comments welcome. If you've got an A40 pickup or a van, let's hear about it in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.